What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Massive Attack. Wanted to give a massive shout out to Stefan, great friend of the channel, who shared music, been very patient as I've gone through the things he's provided. And we're going to start going through the album 1994, Protection. Ultimately, I've only known their work from the Blue Line album, so I don't know how typical that is of their larger body of work. I do note that a number of folks commented as I went through that album that their production and their work with other artists is very notable, so I expected to have good sonics, but ultimately as to whether the genre will continue with that trip-hop meets like down-tempo and some pop stylings and so on, I'm not quite sure. Nevertheless, the opening tune is the title track, Protection, shielding something from external factors, dangers, problems. Obviously, protection is itself not a guarantee against damage or destruction, but it is some measure or some buffer between a perfect and harmonious state and more deleterious encounters. So yes, I do wonder if this is a concept that will be explored broadly in different contexts, whether there's a very particular meaning to protection in the tune. Obviously, it can be more literal, erecting some physical barrier between you and inclement conditions, or it could be more emotional, psychological, tuning out which is harmful, or at least trying to find alternative modes of thinking and feeling to avoid damage and thus protecting yourself internally or by omission. So yes, lots of possibilities at hand. Single word titles tend to be tough to get a read on in advance. Let's give it a listen. This is Massive Attack. The tune is Protection, and it's from the album of the same name, 1994. Had a soul in that echoed sting.
This girl I know needs some shelter.
Oh,
She don't believe anyone can help her. She's doing so much harm,
reminds me of like a
doing
Sade
so
song.
much damage, but you don't wanna get involved. You tell her she can't manage, that you can't change the way she feels, but you could put your arms around her.
Talking about shelter, putting your arms around someone.
I know you wanna live yourself, but could you forgive yourself if you left her just the way you found her? I'll stand in front of you, I'll take the force of the blow, protection. I'll stand in front of you, I'll take the force of the blow, protection. dancing and just running around and held to scared to. And I leaned on your feet. Now you can lean on me. And that's more than love. That's the way it should be. Now I can't change the way you feel, but I could put my arms around you. That's just part of the deal. That's the way I feel. I put my arms around you. Stand in front of you and take the force of the blow. Protection. I stand in front of you. I'll take the force of the blow. Protection.
Like deeper, more forte piano line, keyboard line. I don't know if they're technically like arpeggios, but those rising acid lines and falling back down. Like more electric at the bottom, squelchier at the top, and then electric again as they come back down. Very tasty. Wind or respiration sound, maybe the sea, maybe just static to contrast with the sonorous elements. Water sounds, yeah. Rain. Perhaps someone is sheltered somewhere against that rain. But so, yeah, lyrically, it sounds like it's telling the story maybe of a boy, but through a female voice, but talking about finding this girl and feeling like she needs to be protected and saying that you'll stand in front of her and take the blow, whether that's a more literal thing or the blows of life and the difficulties of living in the world, and talking about putting your arms around her and could you possibly leave her in the state that you found her? Isn't it your obligation, once you know the vulnerability, the dangers she might face, to be there and to be her protection, whether again in a more literal physical way or looking out for her, making sure that the dangers of the world and maybe other people are not setting upon her. But again, with the rain sounds at the end, maybe there is this idea that it's about the environment she's in, not necessarily intentional, deliberate actions from others, but just the way that the world can be a harsh and dangerous place. Ultimately, the sonic's fantastic, smooth, again, down-tempo, soulful. So I love, of course, the acid layers, which again, it feels like there were a couple different types of acid lines, like the just deeper kind of acid bass line, but also those rising and falling motifs that, as I said, were sort of more electronic in the lower end, and then as they would rise to the top, they'd get squelchier and higher pitched and then fall back down again. I do love the natural drum flourishes. It may very well be drum machine, that would be my expectation, but especially at the measure changes, there were these little fills that felt like natural drums. I do, of course, enjoy just the overall mellow feel of the track. It's the kind of track you put on when you're pensive or thinking about things or looking out the window at rain. It feels very much that type of vibe. So just a really cool production. And as I said, in some ways, because of the soulful feel of the sonics and the vocals, it reminded me a bit of a Sade tune. I don't know a whole lot of their/her music, but I have heard and reacted to, I'd say, a half dozen or more songs at this point, and this had that feel, somewhere between soul, like nighttime soul and pop, mixed with a very soothing and sonorous voice, though again, the acid component was a very welcome and unexpected, although I say unexpected. 94 is really when a lot of underground electronic music is beginning to incorporate the acid sound, the TB303, whether you're talking trance or techno. Obviously acid house had been around quite a bit by then, so I suppose that's kind of the grandfather, but a lot of the acid music styles that I listened to going back to the 90s, 93 and 94 is when they really start to have the squelchy, bubbly sounds of the 303 in spade. So this track, the acid work in it, is a bit in that sort of underground dance vein, even if the tune overall is more, again, like soulful, sort of trip hop or trip pop. So yes, again, great production, fitting very much with what I know of their music through the Blue Line. Once again, shout out to Stefan. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.